This conference will now be recorded.
Let me know once you're able to see my screen.
Yeah, it's usual.
Okay. So in today's session, we will discuss about high level information about the RPA, and in this just what is the use, why we are doing the RPA, what are the benefits, all those information we will going to discuss. And if time permits, then we will be having some of the tool explanation. Okay. Then from tomorrow onwards, we will be having the actual tool concept discussions. So this training is meant for the developers only, okay, who wanted to develop the processes by using the Blue Prism tool, okay. And this is not for solution designers or not other architectures, okay. This is purely for RPA developers. Here the main objectives are definition, best use cases, key things to identify the scope, what is the planning, what are the life cycle, and what are the benefits using the RPA, and what are the leading vendors available in the RPA. So all these seven objectives we will be going to discuss in detail. Okay. Definition to the robotics process automation. Okay. If I tell you in a single line, RPA is nothing but the whatever the human does, the activities, right, in the computer, right. So we can able to automate all the activities which generally does by the humans, or I can say mimicking the human activities. Okay, so generally it's a software technology that enables us to create rules and logics to effectively mimic a user action on a computer, thereby interacting with the different software systems at GUI level or presentation layer, the same level as human users of the system. Okay, it clearly says that whatever human does in the computer system, right, whatever he does the activities, same we can able to do it by using the RPA processes, right. What generally human does, so for example, BCom graduates are there, MBA graduates are there, right? They will be having the lot of back-end activities, right? So they will be logging into the system, they will be logging into some applications, downloading the data, processing the data, and after that, after validating or processing, they will upload the data into some other applications or same applications at the different locations, right? So these things they will going to do it, right. So they interact with the multiple applications. In the same way, RPA can able to interact with the multiple applications, and whatever the users does, it also can able to do the same activities. Okay, and it emulates human execution of repetitive processes with existing business applications. Okay, so wherever there is a repetitive work is there, okay, that is the best way to identify the RPA process. Okay, so RPA processes are meant to design wherever there is a repetitive work. Okay, and virtual workforce controlled and monitored by the business operations teams, right. So robots is nothing but virtual workforce. Is it not recording? Yeah, it's recording. Okay, virtual folks is what do you mean by virtual workforce, right? If humans are doing, then that is not a virtual workforce, right? So if someone instead of humans, if some other members doing that, then that is nothing but a virtual workforce, right? So in this case, robots are our virtual workforce. Okay, that will be controlled and monitored by the business operations teams or RPA controllers, we generally call it as. Okay, it can be trained to business users via configurations. Okay, no need to. mm, It's not a coding. Okay, it's like it will be having very minimal coding. So mostly it is a tool. Okay, wherever we say that okay this is not possible, then only we will implement the code in the code stage. Okay, and it will be very useful for the RPA controllers because it will be configurable, okay, and easy to understand. And we can operate 24 by 7, okay. There is no rest for robots. We can work or we can run the robots 24 by 7, okay, and sit alongside existing infrastructure governed and controlled by the IT member team, okay, and generate the audit logs, and it's easy to deploy, okay, because if you wanted to deploy any of the process from one environment to another environment, it is very easy to deploy, okay, and it is very easy to develop as well, okay, and generate the audit logs, okay, whatever the activity we will be doing on that particular process, each and everything will be captured, okay, that we can able to see it by generating the audit logs. Okay, any other questions before I move to the next slide? No? Are we clear?
Yeah, good.
Okay. What are the best use or what are all the best use cases? Okay, where we can implement the RPA processes. Okay. The first use case is dual data entry scenarios. Okay. Wherever we are entering the data in one system, right? Then if you wanted to re-enter the similar kind of data into the other system or same data into the other system, then there is a need of implementing the RPA. Okay, and the second is the state through processes. Okay, state through processes means directly straight away you are getting the inputs, right? So inputs are coming from different systems. It may be web pages, right, or it may be emails, or it may be Excel sheets. Okay, if those are all has to be entered into some other XYZ applications, then it is called as straight through processing, right? So input should be very clean, right, and it has to be defined some rules in prior to starting the uh, uh, or continuation of the RPA processes. Okay, for example, let's say we are getting some data. Okay, how we are getting, assume that okay we can able to get the data from the emails, or we can able to get the data from the Excel sheet from the email, or we can able to get the data from some shared locations. Okay, right away we need to pick up and we need to process the data and we need to generate the a report, right? So in this case, so for example you are receiving the data in an Excel sheet, okay, and if that is not standardized, or if that is not uh, properly rule based, right, then it will be a problem for RPA. What does mean by rule based? For example, you are receiving the data in a four columns. Assume that first column is serial number, second column employee ID, third column employee name, fourth column employee payment. Okay, if if we are agreed on this scenario, right, then RPA has to receive the data in this structure only. Okay, because RPA will be built on the rule based business rule based scenarios. Okay, it sometimes if you are sending in this format at one time, and if you are sending in another format for the next time, right, for example next time means for the second run, if you are sending the column details like in first column name, second column payment, third column employee ID, it doesn't work. Okay, we need to follow a standard approach, standard process. Okay, so if these are all straightforward, right, if these are all predefined, then there should not be any problem. Okay, it will get the data, it will process, and it will going to provide outputs. and where we can able to use RPS, okay, in virtual integration between the systems, right? So for example, you have multiple systems in your organization. Okay, for example, you are working on two systems. What you generally do, you will get the data from one system, okay, and you will do the manipulation, and if you are uploading that into the another system, right? So in this case, for example, system A having some different format, system B is having some different format. So for example, system A having the 10 columns, okay, in a different ways. For example, column A, okay, some xyz column name, column sorry, application A, some XYZ column name. Okay. In column B, there is a specific data is there. Column C, there is a specific data is there. Okay. But in application B, you will not be having the same data in a similar manner, right? For example, here in column A, there will be a name, okay, employee name. But in application B, employee name will be in a column X or column Z, right? So how do you integrate? By getting the data from this application, okay, and uploading the data into column X or Y or Z into the application B, okay. So RPA will be used whenever there is a integration between the two systems, okay, or it will be, if I consider some of the examples like cloud is there, AWS is there, right? AWS is different, and our internal applications are different. How do you integrate? By using the RPA connectors, we can able to integrate with the AWS cloud. Okay, like that. So whenever there is a integration between the different system, we can able to use the RPA. Okay. Next, responding to the data extraction and reporting request. Okay. When the data and the report requests come from multiple process owners or vendors and even customers or employee log into the system to extract the data, format it and send an email to the requester, RPA lends itself very well to such rule-based tasks. Okay, as I said, it's completely a rule-based process. Okay, whenever there is a rule-based process, RPA is the best to use it and implement it. Okay, whenever there is a need for reporting, okay, whether it is extracting, processing and sending the data to the requester, all those things can be done by the RPA. So last step, as we have discussed multiple times, rule based decision making, right? RPA process can execute decision based tasks provided the rules driving those directions are well laid out. Okay, so these business rules, right, will be defined when before, just before we be implementing the RPA processes. Any queries before we move to the next slide? Are we good? What are all the best use cases when we can implement the RPS? Okay. So next, take over a repetitive task that employees carry out 50 to 60 times a day, right? So as I said earlier, right, a repetitive is the best process where we can able to implement the RPA. Okay. Next, periodic reporting and data entry and analysis, right? So wherever there is a reporting kind of things generally does by the employee or any of the organizations, or data entry related items or data analysis, all these things can be done by the RPA. So these are all the best use case for developing the RPA process. Okay. Mass email generation, archiving and like extracting. Okay. Wherever there is a email communications, right? So let's say we are getting the data input data from the email, right? We can able to read the data from the email, from the subject, from the body, and we can send the data through an email. Okay, we can send the data, process data to the respective business holders through an email. So all email related things also we can able to automate. Okay, conversion of the data formats and graphics. Okay, one type of data to another type of data we can able to convert, okay, and we can able to generate the graphs just like we generate the graph by using the Excel sheet, right? So RPA can able to do the all the activities which we do in the Excel sheets, okay, and wherever the RPA transactions are there, right, we can able to implement the RPAs and process list and file storage, okay. If you wanted to store the data or if you wanted to retrieve the data from shared drive locations or two shared drive locations or from hard drive, right, or some from mine to AWS, right, so you can store the data in AWS also. In those kind of scenarios also we can able to implement the RPA processes, okay. What are all the key things to identify the scope, okay? Here there are three modules which we can easily identify the scope. One is a human factor, second one is a complexity, third one is a process stability, okay. Based upon these three modules we can able to identify the scope, okay. These are all the best modules by which we can able to analyze and we can able to do the right decision, okay, whether what are the best way to identify the processes for the automation. First module is the human factor, right? Total FTE count means full-time employee count in the process, okay, and monthly volume of the work being done, lead time involved, and SLAs are involved, right? So for example, total FTE count in the process, let's assume that there are 50 members are doing the same activity, right, or 10 members are doing the same activity because data volume is huge, okay. So if 10 members are doing the repetitive work, then that is the best approach or that is the best scope to identify for RPA, right? So instead of 10 members, they can release at least 8 members or 7 members and they can work with one or two employees or one or two full-time employees once this process gets automated, okay. Next, monthly volume of the work being done, okay. For example, in a daily two transactions are there, or if in a daily 100 transactions are there, which one is the best approach? If we have two transactions in a day is the best approach, or if we have 100 transactions in a day is the best approach? If we have 100 transactions in a day, then that is a good for the automation scope. If we are having only two transactions in a day, I don't think we are investing a lot. I don't think we will be investing in a right place, right? So organizations thinks in in this way, okay. A lead time is involved, okay, wherever there is a lot of time is involved, okay. And SLAs, if there are very less SLAs, we need to implement as soon as possible. Our SLA time is 8 hours or SLA time is 24 hours, okay. In these are all the best suitable scenarios where we can able to automate the processes, okay. Next is complexity, okay. If the more complex is there, then it will take the more development time, right? If the less complexity is there, then we'll be able to easily implement, okay. Development time is proportional to complexity involved in the process. This is what I said, right? If more complex, then it will take more development time. If less complex, then we can able to develop the RPA process in very less time, okay. The more complex is the process, more time it will take to develop. More technical issues will pop up. Okay, if it is a complex process, right, then there will be a lot of technical issues. Okay, then there will be a lot of unknown pop-ups will come into that particular process. Okay, so we need to identify the complexity as well. Next, process stability. Okay, it will be win-win case if process changes is minor or requires a fewer code tweaks. Okay, so what it is saying is, let's say we have designed a process. Okay, after that, after 6 months, that process got changed. Okay, let's say he introduced some more additional functionalities into the application, right? Then we need to redevelop those things. Okay, once that is implemented, the additional functionalities has been implemented, it is not sure that RPA will going to work or not, right? Because RPA will be worked based upon the HTML tags, right? When we are spying with the RPA, right, it will capture the HTML tags. Okay, if HTML attributes or HTML details, whatever we capture, if that is got changed, then RPA will not going to work. That is what it is clearly saying. Win-win case if process changes is minor and requires fewer code tweaks. Okay, let's say if the application, okay, for every 6 months or 1 year, it is changing very little, then it is advisable to take the process into a RPA development consideration. Okay, it will add up to rework cost if process change is major and requires re-engineering, right? If let's say if the process gets changed for maximum, consider the 25% of the process got changed, right? Again, we need to redesign those things because it doesn't work, right? If there are any HTML attributes has been introduced, then it will not going to work it. Okay, so it is always avoid whenever there is a huge change in the processes or applications. Okay, don't take up the process for automation that calls for frequent changes. Okay, if that application keep changing, right, that is not advisable to take it into the RPA. Okay, any queries before I move forward?
Good to hear.
Okay, so few more are there. Okay, input type. Okay, inputs could be structured, right? That's what I told. We can't able to design the RPA for unstructured data, right? If we are start developing for unstructured data, then it will never ending the development case. Okay, so it's always recommended that input should be structured way, as I explained you. If we are considering the 4 columns, then the arrangement, right, or the way we consume should be standardized. Okay, if there is any jumbling between the columns or structure, then it is not advisable to take it into the consideration. Next, for unstructured input, there is a need to standardize the input format. So for example, okay, we are receiving that, how generally backend works does is, there will be consider that there will be 10 members of team. Okay, they will receive the client information like client ID, client CUID. Okay, uh, client salary structure. Okay, you consider that these things, they are receiving the email. Okay, as a human, we can able to understand, okay, where they have mentioned the client ID, client CUID. Okay, and employee ID and employee structure details, whether it is weekly payroll or whether it is monthly payroll or whether it is bi-weekly payroll. Okay, by reading the email, we can able to say, okay, I need to process this employee ID details, right? Employee B or SME B is there. Okay, if input is receiving in a different format also, he can able to read it. Why? Because he is a human, right? Whether you will be providing data input employee ID, then followed by CUID, then followed by the pay related information, right? If these things are received in any of the order, right? Any of the order, you can able to understand and you can able to process. But before implementing the RPA process, all 10 associates has to be agreed, right? Okay, boss, if the structure has to be this one, we need to receive this kind of structure from the client, then only we can able to process. Okay, they need to agree a standardized process. Okay, structured process. If it is unstructured, we know. Okay, prior to designing the RPA, they will be unstructured manner in most of the organizations. Okay, but if we are going for the RPA, then they need to agree a standardized structure. Okay, in that structure only they need to send the data for processing the processing by any of the RPA tool. And error rate. A good number of human errors in a process can be useful for automation standpoint. Okay. If there is any process is there where we see that okay, employees are doing lot of errors while processing, right? So that is a good case for RPA. Okay. Robots are efficient in cut, copy, paste, data transfer, and navigation, etc. Okay, wherever this kind of scope is there, okay, wherever this kind of activity is there, right? Then that is the best use case to do the RPA. Okay. For example, banking sectors, right? So instead of putting 1 million, if you put 10 million and processed it, right? Then there will be a loss of 9 million. Again, there will be a lot of discussions will going to happen, lot of escalations will going to happen. Again, we need to discuss with the client. Again, they need to refund the amount. All those things will going to happen, and there will be a loss to the organization, right? So banking related or processing related, where the money is involved, right? That is the best use case for designing the RPA processes, right? Because there should not be any excuses on those transactions, right? Because money is involved. Wherever the money is involved, risk is high. Okay, wherever the risk is high, that is always advised to go for the automation process, because once you design the logic, then the logic will not going to change it, right? Next, robotic process automation planning. Okay, what is a plan? First phase is nothing but a discovery phase. Okay, in discovery phase, what generally happens? 2 to 4 hours of meeting with the key business stakeholder, process owners, and associates to get a high-level overview to identify a stable process for RPA. Okay, in discovery phase, what exactly it does is they will just show us some of the applications at very high level. Okay, okay, these are all the applications, these are all the general activity we will be doing. Okay, we will be using some of the web applications, we will be using some of the ERP applications, we are using some of the Windows applications, or we are using some Excel sheets, right? So these things they will discuss in a high level. Okay, based upon those discussion, RPA, architect or leads, or technical leads or RPA managers will going to identify whether this is suitable for RPA or not. Okay. Once discovery phase is done, then the process assessment phase. Okay. 2 to 3 days workshop with the process owners and SMEs to understand the as is process automation for automation and process maps. Okay. So what generally happens is once the discovery phase is in discovery phase, once we analyze or once we finalize the process, then we have to go for in detail information, right? For that in detail information, we should have the process walkthrough with the SME. Okay, how the SME is doing that particular activity, right? What he's doing initially, okay, how he is receiving the input data, after receiving the input data, in which application he is logging into, and what he is downloading the data, and what kind of transactions he is performing into that particular application, right? All those things should be, the walkthrough has to be given by the SME. Okay, that is nothing but as is process. Next, business case approval. Okay, evaluate top RPA vendors. Okay, then we need to evaluate. Okay, what all the RPA vendors are available. Okay, and calculate RPA benefits such as cost, time, FTE benefits. Okay, and defining the project cost and approvals. Right. So obviously, before we implement the RPS, the business should provide the approvals. They need to understand which RPA tool is best in the market, and how much benefit they are getting, right? And how much time they are saving, and what all the FTs they can able to release once this automation is done, right? And entire project, let's say they are going for 10 projects, 10 processes, then what is the entire cost for those 10 processes, design, develop, like about licensing, all those things. Okay. So generally, this planning phase takes around 3 to 4 weeks. okay, to finalize the processes which needs to be developed. Any query here before I move further? No? Okay.
Good.
Next, life cycle. Okay. Explore. Explore is nothing but, as I said, it's similar to discovery phase. Okay. Identify the need for automation. Then decision making. Identify right process with the high ROI and easy to implement. Okay. Wherever we are investing, okay, if that is giving high return on investment, then that should be we need to pick up immediately. Then blueprint, an assessment on the processes identified and estimate return on investment. Okay. Then stakeholders, we have to identify which stakeholders we need to discuss and preparing the stakeholders and including the stakeholders, partners to discuss more on that particular project. Then carry out POC as per scope. Okay. So we need to, before we implementing, if let's assume that if there is a web application, okay, and if any of the organization using the legacy systems, right, old systems, okay, in that case it will be difficult to tell you whether the RPA will be, work as expected or not. So for that purpose, we will carry out POC, right? So in POC, what generally does, we will just capture few of the elements of that particular process or that particular application, whether this can be doable or not. Okay, and we will see. Okay, if we can assume that IRCTC application is there. In IRCTC application, what are all the things we can able to do? We can able to search the trains. We can able to book the tickets. We can able to cancel the tickets, right? These things, these activities we can able to do. But in POC, what we need to do, we need to build any of the small module. For example, just booking a ticket. Okay, that's it. Okay, once we can able to automate that thing, then it means that okay, it can be automated for other modules as well for that particular application. Okay, that is nothing but a POC. Next, rollout roadmap. Preparing roadmap for end-to-end rollout. So this is nothing but the project plan. Okay, here the project plan will going to start. Then benefits, measuring and validating the benefits qualitatively as well as quantitative. Okay, what all the benefit we are getting it after implementing this process. Next, way of life, like making robots a part of day-to-day operations, right? Which is nothing but um, what we generally call day-to-day activities will be, performed by the robots. Okay. Then calculating the benefits. Okay. Increased return on investment within 3 months. Okay. Averagely within 3 months you will get the returns. Okay. That is the big benefit of implementing the RPS. Okay. Second one, improvement in customer satisfaction index. Obviously, it will improve the customer satisfaction, right? Because there will not be any human errors, right? So obviously, the customer satisfaction will be increased up to 80% reduction in AST. Okay, what is AST? Average handling time. Okay, for example, one employee is doing this particular process for 2 hours. Okay, if it is taking 2 hours for one employee or one associate or one SME to do that activity, then same activity can be done by the robot within 30 minutes. Okay, or within 10 minutes. Okay, so we can reduce the AST up to 80%. Okay, it's not always 80%, it is up to 80%. Okay, no impact on security as RPA only does what agents does, right? So there will not be any security incidents, right? Like as I said, one of the example, right? So instead of 1 million, if I send it 10 million, then there will be a big risk. Okay, instead of one client's data, if I send another client data to client A, for example, we have two clients, client A and client B. I'm sending the client B information to client A. then that will be a very big risk, right? So that should be avoidable by using the RPA because it contains the business logic. Based upon the logics, we can send the data. Okay, and headcount for same headcount for triple the activity. Okay, for example, the three members are doing the same activity. So instead of three members, we can able to manage by one member. Okay, that's what the benefit of the implementing the RPA. Next, what are the leading vendors? Okay, we have multiple tools in the market, RPA tools. Okay, Blue Prism, UiPath, Automation Anywhere, Work Fusion, OpenSpan, and many more. Okay, there are multiple RPA tools are available. Okay, the best tools in the market are current. If I consider market wise, Blue Prism and UiPath, these two tools are best tools. Okay, but when it comes to security, okay, and when it comes to banking or financial related institutions are there, right? Then they will be using more Blue Prism only. Okay, I can say 90 to 100% they will be using the Blue Prism instead of UiPath. Okay, so here we will be discussing about Blue Prism only. Okay, this training course is meant for the Blue Prism. Okay, any other questions before I close this PowerPoint?
So is it our choice, like to select the for versions from this list, or else it will be given by the clients, or else where exactly how to select this different type of versions?
Good question. Good question. This is not the version. These are all the different tools. Okay. So, for example, I'm a TCS. Okay. In my organization, I have a Blue Prism requirement. Accenture is there. In Accenture, there will be a lot of UiPath requirement. Satyam is there. Tech Mahindra. In Tech Mahindra, there will be a lot of openings in automation anywhere, right? So because their clients are recommended for these the respective tools. Okay. So that is the reason I'm saying Blue Prism and UiPath is demanding tool. Okay. If you learn any of this UiPath tool or Blue Prism tool, then that is good for your career growth. Okay. So UiPath, if I can, there will be again different discussions between the which tool will be suitable for which organization. That is again different story. But at high level, we don't decide. Okay, let's say if I am working in some XYZ organization, in my organization they are using Blue Prism. Okay, they are not using any of these tools. Consider, let's say if you take HCL technologies. Okay, in HCL technologies they will be using the Blue Prism, UiPath, automation, work fusion. Okay, in those service based organizations you will be getting the opportunity to work on more than one tool. Okay, for example, they have a requirement of some XYZ client of Blue Prism only. Okay, they will deploy to that particular business. They will give the training, or if someone having the Blue Prism experience, they will deploy to that particular client. Okay, once that project is over, okay, if there are no Blue Prism projects are available and there are more UiPath projects are available, what they will do is they will give 2 weeks of training and they will ask users to do the certifications and do the some small POCs, right? Then once that those are all familiar with that, then they will deploy the same associate to some XYZ client location or clients, right? That's how it will going to work.
Okay.
So are you clear, or you still need some more clarification on that?
No, it's clear. So it's depend upon the company, company wise, I guess.
Exactly, exactly. In that particular company, which kind of tools they are using it. Okay. So that is the reason I'm saying in market, if you put Blue Prism, UiPath, okay, as as a your if you worked on Blue Prism and UiPath, then you will be more demanding person. Okay, because these two are the topmost tools in the market. Okay, if you know Blue Prism, if you doesn't know UiPath, then you will be losing 30% of the chances. If you know UiPath and if you doesn't know Blue Prism, then still you will losing the 30% of the chances to get into the any of the organization. Okay, and if you know the Blue Prism and UiPath, then maximum I can say 90 to 95% you will be having the chances to get into that organization, because concepts wise it will be same, only implementation is will be different. That's it.
So we are, in this training, we are covering this all of them, or else just the Blue Prism and UiPath?
No, in this class is only meant for the Blue Prism tool.
Blue Prism.
No
Okay.
UiPath, no automation, no work fusion, no open space, nothing.
Okay.
Okay, for example, just like, okay, I will give some more example. Do you know the Java?
Yeah.
Do you know the .NET?
Mm.
Right, by using the both the technologies we can able to build the applications, right?
Yeah.
Same way you can consider Blue Prism is a .NET, UiPath is a Java,
Yeah.
like
Got
that.
it.
Okay. Okay, so we have 7 more minutes, so I will just show walk through the Blue Prism tool. Okay, just okay, this is how the Blue Prism. Okay, so we just need to double click on this Blue Prism shortcut. Okay, then you can see there is a default connection, configure connection, user ID, password, sign in using the Blue Prism credentials, all those things you can able to see it. Okay, this is the Blue Prism version 6.10.5. Okay, you can see 6.10.5. Okay, the username, I mean password. Okay, once you enter the username and password, once you click on enter, then you can able to see this as a home screen. Okay, you can see multiple tabs over here. One is the home screen, another is the studio. Okay, this is a studio tab, this is a control tab. It's taking a little bit time. Okay, this is analytics tab. Okay, this is, it is little bit slow. Okay, this is analytics tab. Okay, this is releases tab. This is digital exchange tab. Okay, once you click, then you can able to this will redirect to Blue Prism digital exchange. Okay, then system tab, then my profile tab. Okay, change password sign up. As you can see, I'm at system tab. Then you can able to access these tabs by this left side pan as well. Okay, this is the system tab. Okay, this is the releases tab. Okay, this is analytics tab. This is a control tab.
Okay.
This is
So
the
what does
studio
this
tab.
all?
And
What does this all tabs does?
right. So these are all the tabs are there. Okay. So in this tab, we will going to use these tabs while developing a process. Okay. Here you can see the process tab is there, right? 80 to 90% of the work done in the this studio tab, okay, which is nothing but designing the processes, designing the objects, right? So 90% of the or 80 to 90% of the development activities done in this tab only. Okay.
Studio. Okay.
Then I sorry.
Yeah. Studio tab.
Studio tab. Okay, in studio tab is divided into two modules. One is the process module, another is the object module. Okay, where we are going to design the processes as well as objects. Okay, so consider that the 80 to 90% of the development activity is done in this tab only. Okay, next control tab. Okay, 5 to 10% of the activities will be done by the developer in this control tab. Okay, in control tab again there will be three modules: session management, queue management, and schedulers. Okay, and analytics you can ignore it. Okay, and releases tab is there. Okay, release means we can able to create the packages and releases. Okay, those releases are useful for moving the code from one environment to another environment, from development to UAT or from UAT to production. Okay, which is nothing but releases tab. It will be useful once the process gets completed, right? Once the development is completed, testing is completed, right? Or from development is completed, then it will be used to move the code from development to UAT. Then once UAT is completed, then moving the UAT code to production. Okay, so at that moment we can be using this releases tab. Then system tab. Okay, again system tab will contains lot of information: processes, exposures, management, tree, environment variables. In the same way, the object related information, skills. Okay, management, resources is nothing but the bots. Okay, next gateways. We will not be discussing the gateways here. Okay, because this is really used concept. Okay, workflows. Okay, we will be using this work queues, environment logs, and securities. Okay, edits, systems. In systems, so there are multiple again different kind of topics are there. Okay, so remaining 10 to 15% we will be used uh, these configurable things. Okay, here we will not be designing much. Okay, only just we need to or configure the things. Okay, mainly development part is done in the studio. Okay, studio divided into process studio as well as object studio. Clear? Are you clear?
Yeah. So this Blue Prism application is to build the software wherein the client required day on day basis, I guess.
Yeah, so for example, in your organization what you do? So for example, you just tell me some of the work what you do generally. You get some information
Yes.
to do the some
Yeah, we get
activity,
some data activity. Yes.
right? And
So,
how do you get the information? Maybe through
yeah,
email or maybe through chat, something like that.
some
Okay.
application.
So once you get the information, you will start doing the activity. Okay, for example, let's say logging into some XYZ application, downloading the data, Excel sheet
Correct.
data, manipulating some data, and uploading that into the after modification or after validating or after executing some of the business logic, you will be uploading the data, same some output data into some XYZ application and performing some activities in that particular application and go to this, go to that tab, perform this client information, then submit, then log out.
Okay.
Okay, all
Okay.
those things done by the Blue Prism. You need to design the process. Okay,
Okay.
the
So we
same
need to
way.
input all the in. Okay.
Yes, like you are doing all these activities, right? All these activities will be built in the Blue Prism by
Blue
using the
Prism.
studio.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Okay, so you don't need to do it going forward. Okay, once the process is designed, okay, once you receive any email, right, this this RPA process will execute all those steps which you just now did it, right? So that is the
Yeah.
reason initially I said it will mimic all the user actions, right? That's what I said.
Okay.
It we can able to mimic all the user actions,
Okay.
okay? And tomorrow we will going to show you how the process looks like, okay? And in the process what are all the actions we will going to discuss, okay? Just for time being I'm just opening the process here right away, okay? I will be create a process now, just to make sure that how the process will looks like, okay? Then click on next, okay? Already available. You can provide the description about the process, okay? Once you create the process, right, it looks like this, okay? It contains the main page. Left hand side you can see there are a lot of stages over here, right? We will be using these stages. By using these stages we can build the process, okay? So we will discuss about all the options which are available in this screen, okay? One by one actions we can able to discuss in detail and
Okay.
go.